Call to order a regular meeting for the normal local liquor commission. Please call the roll.
Mayor Kus,
Here.
Mr. Fritzen.
Here.
Mr. McBride.
Here.
Mrs. Cummings.
Here.
Mrs. Lorenz.
Here.
Mr. Preston.
Here.
Mr. McCarthy.
Here.
First order of business is approval of the minutes of the special meeting of December 17th, 2018.
Move approval.
Thank you. You get to pick. Any changes or modifications or anything? Please call the roll.
Mr. Fritzen.
Aye.
Mr. McBride.
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings.
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz.
Aye.
Mr. Preston.
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy.
Aye.
Mayor Kus.
Aye.
Item 4 is a complaint and citation. I will take them as A, B, and C together. They all have to do with Marie's Place at 1520 East College Avenue, 115 Susan Drive. Both of these, from investigation, indicate the establishment did not serve food or have adequate food, and to our best understanding, have not for quite a while. The third one is Marie's Place at 1702 West College Avenue, which has been issued a license every year since 2015, but has never opened for business. Before we proceed, I think legal has a report and available for questions or answers on this.
Yes, good evening. Jason Corsagrosa, Deputy Corporation Counsel. As Mayor Kus alluded to, we've got 3 Marie's Place locations that are at issue tonight. And just by way of background, we're talking about a Class O liquor license, and this was created in 2014 for limited hours beer and wine sale. And as part of that license, there is a requirement for food preparation on site. And in addition to that, there must be a limited kitchen, which consists of a cooler for storage of food, a food preparation table, convection oven, and a microwave oven. You all should have a copy of a recent NPD audit of the Marie's Place locations. And as you can see from that memo, the results of the audit show that the 2 Marie's Place locations that are open are not abiding by the food preparation requirements under the Class O liquor license. The only food they had available were potato chips and candy bars. There was no food to be prepared. In addition to that, they did not have the limited kitchen as required under the Class O license. Additionally, as it relates to the third, I should rewind real quick. I've also learned that through the McLean County Health Department, the food permit that those 2 locations have does not actually allow for food preparation on premises. So in effect, if they are complying with their McLean County food permit, they cannot comply with Class O liquor license because they cannot prepare food. The third location, as mentioned, has never opened. There is a requirement in the liquor code that with an application, an applicant provide a bond to the town in addition to proof of dram shop insurance. And that was never provided with the original application for this third location on West College, and nor has it been provided in any subsequent reapplication or renewal application. So as a result, all 3 locations are not abiding by the liquor code at this time.
Thank you. Questions for the attorney? Thank you. I think our action is not to renew this license. That's what we're doing tonight, and I would entertain such a motion.
I would move the Commissioner's recommendation that we not renew these licenses.
I'll second that motion.
Is there discussion on council concerning this item?
Yes, Mayor, just to clarify the process here, so for a non-renewal, what we will do is just make sure we're not violating any due process rights. We'll schedule a due process hearing where they can come in and make a case in front of a hearing officer if they
fair
choose
enough.
to do so. And if that's the case and the hearing officer determines that the license should have been issued, then it would come back to you for a reconsideration of the renewal process.
I would ask you to withdraw the motion until such time as the
Okay,
hearing
yeah.
takes place.
Okay with that?
So this requires no action, and we'll go for it. At this point, we are not going to renew this license until the owner of the licenses requests a hearing before the Liquor Commission, and we'll receive recommendations from, I don't think you can be the attorney on that. I think it has to be a neutral attorney, so.
Yeah, under the liquor code, it would be either in front of the liquor commissioner, which is you, or any of your designee. We've currently got a hearing officer system put in place, so probably our legal's recommendation would be to have the hearing in front of one of the town's already designated hearing officers.
All right, fair enough. So that item is on hold until we hear from the owners of the businesses and whether they're going to request a hearing or not. We have a number of I'm sorry.
Those are all the rest of each purchase.
Right. We have a number of, these are citations that have been paid. Yes, that's citations, first offenses. I'll read those, and they have been paid, so we will be renewing those licenses. Chipotle Mexican Grill at 701 South Main, Bradford Lane Italian Foods, which is doing business as Rosati's. Chipotle Mexican Grill, doing business as Chipotle at 1601 East College Avenue. Portillo's Hot Dogs at 202 Landmark Drive. Budget Liquors at 200 South Linden Street. Meyer Great Lakes Limited Partner, doing business as the Meyer Store at 1900 East College. And Red Robin, I'm sorry, no, that one doesn't include. These have all been settled and paid at $250 each. We do have an agreement with Blaze Pizza at 1600 East College in an amount of $500 for a second offense. That has been paid. And we have a third offense, and the payment of $1,000 has been made by Blaze Pizza again. Questions on any of these? Oh, I forgot. No, I got Rosati's. Questions on any of these? Okay. Item 5 is a liquor license application for Normal Corn Belters Baseball LLC at 1000 West Rab Road. This is for a Class D all liquor on-premises consumption license, and this has to do with the change of ownership of the Normal Corn Belters. Motion for approval?
Move approval. Second.
Discussion on this item? Please call the roll.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. The motion is approved. We also have the annual renewal of a significant number of licenses here within the community. I'm not going to read these out loud. They are in the report. There are different classes of licenses. If a commission member has any concern about any of these, I would take that under advisement at this point. Motion to approve these licenses.
Move approval.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
The liquor licenses for annual renewal have been approved. Motion for adjournment, please.
So moved. Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. Liquor Commission is adjourned. Before we go into a normal council meeting, we have Chief Fleischner making a presentation to the Normal Police Officer of the Year for his outstanding service, and we'll go out front here for a little picture and let Rick tell the story here.
Thank you, everybody. Just a little background. This year, the police department started an Officer of the Year award program. This was to give special recognition to officers who demonstrated sustained performance, exemplary service to the community, and dedication to the mission and core values of the Normal Police Department. The winner of the 2018 Police Officer of the Year award, Officer Evan Easter, was nominated by both his supervisor and peers because of his strong work ethic, his tireless dedication to removing illegal guns and drugs from the street, his commitment to community service, volunteerism, and willingness to mentor other officers with the experience that he has learned in his 15-plus years with the department, working in a variety of assignments, including vice crimes, and he is currently assigned to the patrol division, working on our 6 to 4 shift, where he also serves as a member of our emergency response unit. Evan, I wanted to say thank you for your dedication, for your personable approach to community policing, and for representing the police department and the town so well. Congratulations.
Thanks, Your Worship.
Thank you. Thank you. Get away that. Congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good work.
Thanks.
Thanks. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Yeah. I think it was. You said 30 during
We'll begin in a few minutes when the clock says 7.
Alrighty.
So, do we have a pronunciation on his name?
Hey, Eric, you got a second?
I think it's just Nicole.
Yeah.
Who? Greg will. Can you answer? Oh, yeah.
That's not where I would have gone.
Me either. Jack, when I called him about that, he told me, and I remember going, uh-huh, and just typed. So you go. Okay.
Got it.
Call to order a meeting for the for the normal town council for March 18th, 2019. Please call the roll.
Mayor Kus?
Here.
Mr. Fritzen?
Here.
Mr. McBride?
Here.
Mrs. Cummings?
Here.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Here.
Mr. Preston?
Here.
Mr. McCarthy?
Here.
We'll begin with a pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have one item of public comment tonight concerning the approval of an agreement with Boitnot's Lawn and Landscaping for mowing and abatement services. That speaker is Karen Smith.
Good evening. I'm requesting that the bid for the mowing and abatement services
be removed from the omnibus vote so that additional information can be presented on this bid. The materials presented in the council packet indicate that this company has had the contract for 6 years and did provide the lowest bid in a competitive process. However, the staff review indicates that this contract could result in a minimal increase to the town's budget. This is qualified by stating that the disbursements are recouped through the filing of a lien on property served by this contract. But I searched through the expenditures included in the packet for any payments to this company, and it would be very helpful to know how much the annual payments have been since they provided this services over the last 6 years, what amount has not been recouped. If anyone wants to look for this in the future, what's the budget line item where you can trace it through? And is there any excess capacity available in existing town departments to handle this task? I did contact Pam ahead of time so she'd have a chance to look it up. So she has that information available and won't be caught off guard. Thank you.
We move on to the omnibus agenda items that will be taken with one vote unless a council member would like to pull an item for discussion. I would like to be excused from voting on any bills I may have incurred in my duties as mayor. Mr. Fritzen?
Yeah, correction on item 5 refers to Mayor Coos, and you were absent at that meeting. I was Mayor Pro Tem that evening, so just a little housekeeping there.
Note that correction in the minutes. Thank you. Mr.
I'd like to be excused from voting on the GLT bills.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and pull item C, the mowing issue.
Move approval.
Thank
Second.
you. Items considered on the omnibus are approval of the minutes of the public hearing of March 4th, 2019, and approval of the corrected minutes of the regular council meeting of March 4th, 2019, approval of town of normal expenditures for payment as of March 13th, 2019, a resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement with McLean County for animal shelter services, a resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement with McLean County for animal warden services, a resolution to award the bid for water main and service line materials to Water Products Company of Bloomington, Illinois, a resolution to accept bids and award a contract to Rowe Construction, a division of United Contractors Midwest, in the amount of $2,455,519.77 for the 2018 motor fuel tax street resurfacing project. A resolution authorizing a change to the Dr. Robert G. Bone Historic Preservation Grant programs. Please call the roll.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. Item C is a resolution approving an agreement with Boitnot's Lawn and Landscaping for mowing and abatement services. Mr. McCarthy.
Move approval.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. McCarthy.
Would you like to
Sure. I
share
can
with
go-
us?
I can respond to the comments and questions. I do appreciate Ms. Smith, as she indicated, she shared with me earlier today what her inquiry was, and so it gave me an opportunity to pull some information. Basically, in terms of our agreement with Boitnot, we have been using them to mow private property as complaints arise and as we find violations on private property where those properties need to be mowed. And in the last 6 years, we have actually paid out to Boitnot's a total of $10,851. That's aggregate over the 6-year agreement. We have received reimbursement from those property owners in the amount of $4,052. So the amount we have still as an account receivable, really, is $6,799. There is a process where the legal department can impose liens on those properties. I would defer to the legal department on how that happens. But in regard to what budget this would affect, I believe it comes out of the Building Inspections Department contractual services line. Greg Trummel can refer to that specifically. And he's coming up. And then the other thing I'll mention while Greg's on his way up is the inquiry on whether or not the town could absorb this service and perform the mowing of private properties with our park maintenance staff. I would say that I would not recommend that. Our park maintenance crews spend their time lengthy days during the summer mowing periods, mowing all the town right-of-way and parks. And that's the equipment that we have for those large mowing operations. So we actually rely on the private sector for this service, and the agreement with Boynton's, as with any other vendor who would perform the service, there's an indemnification. So they go on the private property and they mow and indemnify the town. I will defer to Mr. Trummel, though, about where this would affect his budget.
And as Ms. Reese indicated, it is in the building inspection department annual budget. We tend to plug in $5,000 as kind of a holding number. Certainly in years that, will fluctuate a little bit, but on balance, these past 6 years with this contract with this particular vendor, it's been just a tick under $2,000 a year. Just to give you a little example, last year we had 9 or 10 different responses that totaled about $1,100. So again, I know there's always value in trying to recoup the money, but we also are addressing a community concern, because as I've spoke to you before when we're in the budget session, it's great that we have this in place. So if a resident calls to say, hey, this house, is either abandoned or vacant, or they're on vacation and forgot to have somebody mow their lawn, it's a nice service that we can get the yard cleaned up. And from my perspective, it's a great community positive benefit. Keeps the neighborhoods in good shape and that kind of thing. So on balance, I'm surprised that we had that much in the way of being recouped. But, I think our goal is to try and get the properties under control. So,
So this is complaint-based, so we're
Yes.
not proactively just
Yeah.
sending
Now,
people out mowing.
If we have, in fact, like in the 2018 season, we had one property that was addressed 3 different times. And so when
Okay.
it gets to a situation like that where we know we've either got a delinquent homeowner is going through foreclosure, we'll
Okay.
keep an eye on it.
Okay.
Not to force the homeowner to have to call about it all summer long, so.
Further on the item. Please call the roll.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye, the resolution is approved. That concludes our omnibus agenda. We have no items of general orders tonight. One item of new business, which is a motion to approve an appointment and reappointments to various boards, commissions, and committees. Motion for approval.
Second.
As this is a matter of personnel, there will be no discussion unless a council member would like to take this item to executive session. And seeing no such request, please call the roll.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. Mr. Fritzen, would you read that lengthy list of appointments?
Sure.
And reappointments?
Yes. First, reappointments as follows: the Bloomington Normal Airport Authority, Nick Moran. To the Building Board of Appeals, the following: Marty Behrens, Rick Boser, Guy Ticello, Fred Hahn, and Brian Red. To the Historic Preservation Commission, Todd Bugg, Kathy Burgess, and Ann Motter. Human Relations Commission, William Brown and Janae Hinson. To the Planning Commission, Dave Shields and A.J. Zimmerman. To the Uptown Design Review Commission, Barbara Fuller, and the Zoning Board of Appeals, Randy Schaub. We have 3 new appointments. One to the Building Board of Appeals, Jason Kaufman. Mr. Kaufman's a licensed mechanical engineer with 17 years of plumbing and mechanical design experience, 7 of those with the Farnsworth Group in Normal. He received a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering at the University of Illinois and has worked on projects ranging from schools, churches, municipal and government buildings, jails, courthouses, retail, office, and hospitals. So welcome to Jason Kaufman to that board. Historic Preservation Commission, Zachary Berger. Mr. Berger is a resident of Normal and currently a realtor with Caldwell Banker in Bloomington. Holds a BA and master's from the University of Minnesota and New York University, respectively, and holds an MS from the UIUC in Library and Information Science with certificate in special collections. Previously worked at the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library Museum, the Sousa Archives and Center for American Music at UIUC, and the UIUC Library Media Preservation Unit. So obviously some activities there in historic preservation in his past. Finally, on the Children's Discovery Museum Foundation Board, Elise Albers. Ms. Albers works as a manager in population health across Central Illinois with OSF Healthcare and Children's Hospital of Illinois. She volunteers as a court-appointed special advocate for children in the 10th Judicial Circuit and has served as a board member of the Pekin Public Library. Ms. Albers grew up in the Twin Cities and graduated from Memphis University, recently moved from Pekin to Normal with her family. So we welcome Elise to the Foundation Board.
Thank you. And I would point out on Mr. Berger's appointment, the Historic Preservation Board has specific professions that need to be represented to be certified board, and one of those is a realtor, a current realtor, and that has a lot to do with his appointment. Probably less than his willingness to do so. Are there concerns and comments before we take a motion for adjournment? Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Lorenz.
Aye.
Mr. Preston.
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy.
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen.
Aye.
Mr. McBride.
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings.
Aye.
Mayor Kus.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.